showtime.
It's the pre-party with J. Cal.
We are professional wrestling.
I'm building an alliance.
You are tuned into
the absolute top of the mountain, the ultimate professional wrestling.
Alliance-wrestling.com.
On Tuesdays at 6:05, and are we Eastern then? Eastern time. Facebook and YouTube. Sorry, it's a little early for me. No restrictions. So the whole world market will have the product available. And then we'll also have it on the Fight Network as well. I'm sorry?
I said I know you've had that question like repeatedly.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, at some point, we can't run this way forever. We're here to prove our position in the world. And hopefully at some point somebody will step into the breach and want to do business the way we want to do business. I think that gets lost on some people. They think the fact that we haven't made a major move indicates some sort of weakness. It's actually the opposite. It shows our strength because we're not willing to make any bad moves. And I think that surprises. I've had a lot of meetings over the last few years, and even going back to when I was having meetings involving TNA, I think it surprises people when you don't come in with the traditional playbook and ask for the traditional things. I think that makes them sit up and pay a different type of attention. So that deal will come, and when it comes, I think we'll be ready because we'll already be up and running. It's a lot harder to prove a concept when you go into a meeting and say, here's what we're going to do on paper. I think the fact that we're going to go out and prove it starting tonight, I think will make a big difference. So, yes, sir.
Jason from Alliance-Wrestling. Yeah, it is Jason from Alliance-Wrestling.com. In fact, you can call me Jay because we're good pals. This is the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance and the United Wrestling Network. And again, my name is Jay Cal, and you're part of the pre-party right now. We're here to talk about the National Wrestling Alliance. We're here to talk about NWA POWERRR. And I see we got a bunch of friends already up in the chat. I see Bobby Batito's here. Willie Bowen's in the house. Mr. Terry McDermott's here. Hello, friends. I'm glad you could all join us for the final episode of the year of the pre-party. And what I was just showing you guys there was the NWA president/owner, William Patrick Corgan, talking about NWA Power just ahead of the debut tapings back in September of 2019. Or excuse me, 2019. In fact, it was September 30th, 2019. The first set of Power tapings, the reason why I pulled that up is because I was thinking of nostalgia today. I was thinking of the history of the National Wrestling Alliance. And under the new ownership, Mr. William Patrick Corgan, the NWA, the Lightning One era, this has been the most active year that the NWA has had. Now, you might think, well, Jay, we're in the middle of a pandemic. How could this be the most active? But if we sit here and think about it, the NWA ran several pay-per-views this year, right? Back for the Attack, When Our Shadows Fall, the 73rd, Empower, Hard Times 2. That's 5 pay-per-views in the span of from March to December. So that's about 9 months? 9 months of solid, no pauses, no breaks, no stoppage, a complete run of the wrestling promotion. Now, when we look back to 2017, when Billy Corgan purchased the NWA, at that point, the NWA wasn't actually running any official shows. So to see a title defense, you would have to see what promotions were associated with the NWA at the time, like Championship Wrestling from Hollywood or like Tried and True Pro Wrestling, were the two major promotions early on that were partnering with the NWA. So when we think about it that way, 2017 was almost a wash because the title didn't get reintroduced back to the new audience until October of 2017, when Tim Storm showed up on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and shortly thereafter planted the seeds for a feud between Nick Aldis and Tim Storm. And that was at the end of 2017. So 2018 came around, and we had a lot of big events happen in 2018. The 10 pounds of gold went to China, for crying out loud. The title spent some time in the UK. The title went to Australia. The title went to really 4 continents in the span of about 6 months as Nick Aldis was world's heavyweight champion. It was a part of the All In pay-per-view, and many people believe that was the true main event of that show, where Nick Aldis and Cody Rhodes went to war, where Cody would walk away as the winner with the 10 pounds of gold. The title would be defended in a Ring of Honor programming, but eventually the title would come back to Aldis almost a month later at the first anniversary show in about 10 years, the 70th anniversary show. Again, that was in 2018. So when we're looking at these events, there was a lot of big events in 2018, but it wasn't like a consistent effort from the NWA. They were still just kind of getting their feet wet with the whole promotion. They weren't running weekly. They weren't running television. They had no regular programming except for the 10 pounds of gold, which in and of itself was inconsistent. But as 2018 came to a close, 2019 started off with a pay-per-view with Tried and True Pro Wrestling, the NWA pop-up event where Aldis defended against James Storm. That was also the match where Josephus and what's his name? The actor. Oh my gosh, I forgot his name. Dave. I'm not going to get it. Dave. It's on the tip of my tongue. David Arquette. Woo! That was a close one. Where they had that the hair versus hair competition. But again, not a whole lot happening until they started doing a few events with Ring of Honor, and then of course we got the Crockett Cup, right? And then that segued into the power tapings that started in September 30th, October 1st, which carried it through the year. They did a few more tapings, and then boom, we got hit with this global pandemic, right? So then everything just halted, and it took well over a year for the NWA to recover from that. And I know we're still in the pandemic, right, guys? This thing isn't going away, and with these Omicron variants and any other variants that are out there, who knows what's going to happen next? But the NWA in 2021, my God, they were able to get out there and get things going, man. And you got to tip your hat. Whether you like the show or not, whether you're happy with the NWA or not, you have to tip your hat to the fact that they were able to run consecutive events, had weekly programming for almost the entire year, 9 months, and they're setting things up to seem like they'll be continuing this effort throughout the year. I mean, gosh, I remember back in January, people were telling me that the NWA was done. Remember, even there was a report that Raven said that Billy was going to just, shit can it all, pardon my French. And that didn't happen, right? We all, guys like Gary Horn and Dr. Rob Stinson, Will Martin, myself, we're all out here saying, hey, guys, don't give up. The NWA will be back. And sure enough, man, after the hiatus of 2020, 2021 certainly was filled with a lot of things happened, right? We had the national championship change hands from Trevor Murdoch to Chris Masters. We had new tag team champions crowned when Mecha Wolf and Beastia 666 won the titles. Camille won the women's championship this year. Trevor Murdoch won the world's heavyweight championship this year. Tyrus won the television title. We crowned new women's tag team champions. We had 5 pay-per-views. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And I think that we all need to say what's up to the NWA. Congratulations to a rebounding year, a year of growth, a year that we saw a lot of positive things happen with the brand that, again, this time last year, people were talking about that the NWA was dead, done, over. So I think that's really cool. And as we sit here looking at the last few days of 2021, whether it was a good year or a bad year, it's coming to a close. And we have so much more to look forward to in 2022, including a new program that should start on January the 8th on Saturday, which is supposed to be a NWA USA, the weekly program that will feature more junior heavyweights, and it's supposed to be a faster paced show. I think that's going to be great, right? They've already got the Love Alive charity show, the Brawl in Duval, which I think that's also on January the 8th. That I do believe that will be a part of the TV tapings. or I believe the show will make air at some point down the road. Then on top of all that positivity, they just announced, I think it was yesterday, that they're going to be returning back to the Valor Hall in Oak Grove, Kentucky, as part of the partnership between the Tried and True Pro Wrestling and NWA Power, called Power Trip, which I love the name. If you guys haven't seen the graphic, I don't think I could share it, but very exciting to see another live event. Tickets are starting at $40 and go backwards to like $25. I think general admission's like $25. Front row will probably be $40. And again, that's the poster so far is featuring who's it? The world's heavyweight champion, Trevor Murdoch. The Nick Aldis is also on the poster. We also have Camille and Tom Latimer, and also Kylie Ray. So, I'm just trying to read the tea leaves here, and sorry, I'm just multitasking at the moment. Just trying to read the tea leaves. It kind of sounds like perhaps that maybe Kylie Ray might be working her way to a women's championship match. We'll see. I don't want to pull the cart before the horse for any of that stuff, but that's what it at least seems like to me on the surface, just looking at that poster. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff coming down. And I want to see where you guys are at. I see, wow, the whole house is here. You guys are awesome. I've got what's up to Roswell. Dave Scooby's in the house. Lamb's here. PWZ Podcast. If you guys haven't subscribed already, please do so. The Pro Wrestling Zone Podcast. I like to think of them as the brothers to this podcast. When we talk about that NWA, the hashtag NWA fam, Rick is one of the biggest supporters of what we do over here at the Alliance blog. So whatever we can do to help out Rick, I implore you guys to check out what he does. He does a lot of NWA content, a lot of content up in the Northeast. So make sure you give him a follow, subscribe, like, and all that good stuff. Thank you, Lamb. Bobby Petito says, who is next to challenge for Camille? And, I don't know if we have anything concrete yet, but like I said, that poster for the event that's happening on February the 22nd, is that the right date? February 12th, 2 days before Valentine's Day, don't you know? Might be Kylie Ray, but that's just Jay Cal's hypothetical thinking. Lamb says, oh yeah, the outrage on Discord last year, that was funny. I mean, look, 1 year ago today, at this moment, right, I had people telling me, hey Jay, it's done. It's over. Finito. It's done. The NWA is done. They're shelving it. And, it's just, that's not the case. And we told you that. I told you that it wasn't going to go away. I told you that it would still be here. Now, is this the NWA that I was hoping for? More yes than no. There's some things that I wish they would clean up, change up, tune up, if you will. But I think the fact of the matter is that very easily could have gone the way that Ring of Honor is going right now, right? Ring of Honor operated through the pandemic with a zero audience on their shows. They did a lot more. They tried different things. And to their credit, they were able to keep guys employed during the pandemic, which was great and very commendable. No matter what you think about Ring of Honor, you have to applaud them for keeping people employed during the pandemic. Now that's coming back, though, to kind of haunt them, as they're going to restructure the entire franchise, the entire promotion, and how it's going to be going forward. The NWA did take a knee during the pandemic, and I mean they pretty much stopped everything from March of 2020 till about late September, when they partnered with United Wrestling Network to do Primetime Live, and even that was short-lived. Now, you still had Thunder Rosa in 2020 defending the title all over the place. You had Aldis do a handful of title defenses, and then Primetime Live kicked up. But then remember, when 2021 started, that relationship between Primetime Live and the NWA seemed to just already be over. And there were no more co-promoted events between them. And everything just kind of sat and waited. And then they pulled all the content off of YouTube, right? And everyone thought, well, that's it. That's the end. And then they made that announcement that they would be signing up an exclusive relationship with Fight, where they would have a monthly subscription. So they finally did put the product behind a pay window, which is like, if you saw the video early on with Billy Corgan, he did mention like this was a proof of concept. We were going to see if we can make this work. At some point, we're going to hope to find a partner who will work with us the way we want to. That was Fight. And it's kind of funny how that all worked out towards the end there. Terry McDermott says, Billy is a good promoter. He's just slow with his storylines. I don't even know if slow is the word I would use. It's just sometimes the storylines are a bit convoluted. The Guardian of Chaos, welcome, sir. Welcome. Glad that you're here. Let's see. Lamb says the Ring of Honor show in the pandemic were awesome. Sadly, it cost them everything. Absolutely. And that was that was definitely a calculated risk. You know, that could have cost them everything. Now, if they had taken a knee just like everyone else, I don't know exactly what would have happened with Ring of Honor. They might have already closed earlier. But, you know, there is talk that they are coming back, and they've already kind of have this interesting parallel right now where Jonathan Gresham is running around with the Ring of Honor Championship, the old title, the Kerry Silken belt. And then Bandito has still got his Ring of Honor title running around. And last I heard, he's got a defense coming up soon. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the future for Ring of Honor. We'll know in a couple of months. Bobby Petito says he'd like to see the Allures, Mandy Leon and Angelina Love show up in the NWA. That'd be a bit of a return to form for Angelina Love. That Velvet Sky would be there. I mean, maybe you could have some sort of reformation of the beautiful people. I want to play a little bit more from Billy from the press conference from almost 2 years ago. I guess like almost 3 years ago. So here, check this out.
.com. Hey, exclusivity with talent. In the past, we know that the NWA champions have worked tried and true pro wrestling, championship wrestling from Hollywood and various other entities. Will those champions still be allowed to work in these other promotions? And does the NWA still plan to work on a basis?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we consider ourselves a free agent on the market. I mean, we're available to work with anybody from AEW to Tried and True to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood to Ring of Honor. Those relationships continue to be strong. The only prohibition is Impact. We won't do any business with them. But, and obviously, of course, we'll do business with WWE. So, you know, we feel we're more like an early UFC or Bellator. We feel like we're in the market and we can do whatever we want to do. And you have the champions right here. I mean, if somebody calls tomorrow and wants them to appear on television,
So I mean, basically, the point of why I played that is again, when we talk about the NWA, similarly, the Ring of Honor, and I think Lamb just pointed that out. Both the Ring of Honor world titles could go the NWA world title route, being defended everywhere before Bandito versus Gresham kick off the new Ring of Honor. I think that's what's going to happen. But the reason why I pointed that out is because the NWA really doesn't have any ties to anybody, right? They can do whatever they want. And it's kind of funny because even Billy was like, hey, there's the only prohibition is Impact. And now they have a very close working relationship with Impact. So things have changed very significantly in the last year. And I just think as we get further into 2022, you know, the NWA, Dave Lagana used to say it a lot, that the NWA, if you thought 2019 was wild, just wait till 2020. And then things just seem to get even more chaotic and crazy every year. Let's see. Guardian of the Chaos says the NWA could sign more talent as we speak. The indies are loaded with talent. 100%, right? There's so much good talent out there. And I feel like every once in a while, you know, every new set of tapings, NWA scratches the surface and they'll bring in somebody who maybe some of us have never heard of before, or maybe see some people who have some value that just aren't super familiar with a lot of the NWA audience. But I really feel like, again, there's so much good talent out there. They brought in, the Savage Gentleman Lady Frost's husband. And that guy is just such a good, phenomenal athlete. From what I see, I can't wait to see more of him. You know, they finally brought in Jay Bradley and Wrecking Ball Legarsky as the fixers. I'm happy to see more tag teams enter the fray. You know, they brought in Dirty Dango. So again, there's a lot, and we're just scratching the surface. There's so much good talent out there, and you know, this is just on the indies. We're not even talking about guys who recently have been released from Ring of Honor or the WWE, right? And a lot of those contracts are expiring very, very soon too. All the NXT contracts are officially expired. So anyone who is working the WWE, NXT, they're free agents. I mean, I'm not saying that we're going to see him, but Johnny Gargano could show up anywhere. Johnny Gargano could be at the Love Live fundraiser in Florida in a couple of weeks. Who knows? Willie Bowen says Jordan Clearwater is the number one contender for the United Wrestling Network Heavyweight Championship. Yeah, he won the Red Carpet Rumble, which I don't know if that's a surprise to anybody. Jordan Clearwater is a phenomenal athlete, and I know our friend Terry McDermott will agree that he has been underutilized on the roster for Power, but he's having a great time. You could tell by watching him, he's having a lot of fun. And just having a very brief conversation with him in Hollywood, I know that he's been having a good time out there as well. And he's wrestling for two very prominent wrestling promotions right now. It's being seen weekly on Power, being seen weekly on United Wrestling Network's programming. So, he's in a good place. We'll see if his success in the United Wrestling Network has any impact on his success in the NWA, but we'll just have to wait and see. Ryan Romano, my pal, my friend, how are you, sir? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope everyone had a good Christmas holiday, and if you don't celebrate, just a nice week, I guess. And then we'll be having a happy New Year too. I hope you're all having a happy New Year. Bobby Battito is commenting that he did get to speak to Camille last week during a virtual meet and greet. She would like to wrestle Ember Moon and Angelina Love and Willow Nightingale. I mean, those three great talents. I'm sure. Dave Scooby says, have Velvet bring in the Allure and use her title ticket to challenge the Hex for the women's tag titles. I mean, the story writes itself, Mr. Scooby. It's right there, Dave. You just laid it out for it. It's low-hanging fruit for Billy. You literally just showed it. It's right there. How did I get out of focus? Oh, well. Roswell says NWA needs to use a ranking system instead of money in the bag type stuff. They want to be a big prize fight look and feel. Use a ranking system that helps play in a storyline. I agree with you 100%. And I feel like the NWA, as it has been in the last year, is kind of trying to make up for lost time. They're trying to figure things out because, again, they had to take that pause during the pandemic. They had to do something. So they're trying to bring in new faces, and they're trying to make things interesting as soon as possible because they want to hook as many fans as they can. So bringing Matt Cardona in, or even before him, Mike Knox. Rick Knox is the referee. Bringing in Knox and then now Cardona, I really feel like they're just trying to hook a larger audience. But I think I agree with you that there should be some sort of reward system for wins and losses. I mean, I think that's ideally how you should, but it's interesting. Yep, Lamb, I thought the same thing. Bobby Battito, he would like to see Blonde Force Trauma with Heather Monroe and Ray Lynn show up in the NWA. I would too. I really feel like there's something there. I know that I'm not trying to book anything here, but I know that Ray Lynn is currently involved with Sam Rudo. And so maybe his connection with her could bring them in. And Heather Monroe, I mean, Billy has seen Heather Monroe work. Billy's familiar with her. It's not like she's an unknown commodity to them. So we'll see. Bobby Battista says he'd like to see Camille versus Ruby Reyes. I mean, I think on Primetime Live, there was a taping in Long Beach, where Camille wrestled Heather Monroe, and the match was fantastic. And then a few weeks later, they did Lindsay Snow versus Ruby Reyes, and Lindsay Snow is a verifiable badass. Like, she's great. And Reyes held her own against her in the ring. And I feel like that would be similar in style to a match with Camille and Reyes. I feel like, they're two very different wrestlers, but they both rely on their power. And with Reyes having Reyes having more of a violent side to her, I think could help in that kind of a match. But I think, Camille's just so athletic. It's kind of hard to say anything, anyone about that. Pro Wrestling Zone podcast wants to point out that Connecticut's Wrecking Ball Legursky is looking good in the NWA. I mean, I like to see more talents, and I don't care where they come from. We have a lot of great talents here in Southern California, but I think it's kind of cool to find talents from all across the country to have them convene in the NWA. There's a lot of talents, coming out of the Tennessee area and Southern California. So any more talents that they can bring in, I think would be really cool. I know that there's been a few from the Midwest as well, but again, I just think there's so much available that I'd like to see more. And Bobby Petito wants to see more of Natalia Markova. Yeah. Who wouldn't? Bobby says yesterday Darius Lockhart was wrestling on AEW Dark Elevation. Look, we're going to see a lot of that, right? We're going to see a lot of these NWA talents appear in AEW, especially on the Elevation and Dark, because there's no reason not to. These are just opportunities. If these guys could get, landing a gig with AEW, I think is a better career move than having a gig with the NWA. Unless you're the world's heavyweight champion, I don't think the pay is even close. And more of your comments. Good friend of the show, Kakushi, says Lindsay Snow is a former MMA fighter. She is, and that's why I said she's a verifiable badass. She looks so good in the few matches that I've seen with her from Mission Pro, and I saw her at the Primetime Live. And there were rumors that her and Lady Frost might be forming a tag team. I don't know if those things have changed since Lady Frost is now under contract with Impact. But I would have loved to see Lindsay Snow and Lady Frost take on Team Hex. I think that'd be a lot of fun. That'd be a lot of cool. I see Certified Hustlers in the house. What's up, Certified Hustler? And then Willie Bowen says, hopefully we'll have a new NWA TV champion when NWA US premieres on YouTube. Tyre says, good work. Excuse me, guys. I'm a little under the weather. Willie Bowen says, Tyrus is good for a pie eating contest. Willie, never stop that. Never stop that, please. Every show. Bobby Machito says he watches Championship Wrestling from Memphis, and he watches the show because of Amber Rodriguez, Chalance Royale, and Heather Monroe. I think that's a good way to see it. Memphis is coming into their own. I mean, they're bringing in Brian Cage, Joey Janela. They're bringing in Rhino. Who else are they bringing in? I know they're just bringing in some names. I think you're going to see Memphis continue to do that as that show continues to grow. And I look forward to it. Hustler, I don't disagree. I think an MLW versus an NWA angle would be fun. I do. I just don't think there's enough. I don't know if there's enough dollars for it to make sense, because you're talking about a lot of egos, a lot of egos. And, MLW has its roster. The NWA has its roster. They did a show recently, the MLW working with Crash, had an event in Tijuana where 5150, which is our pal Danny Limelight teaming up with Slice Boogie, defended the tag titles. They could have put a tag team title match with the Crash tag team champions, which were Mecha Wolf and Bestia 666. But who's going to take an L in that, right? Because they being La Rebellion can't take a loss to 5150 because they are the tag team champions of not only the Crash but also for the NWA. And then on the flip side, MLW is not going to have their guys go down. So doing a joint show would be a lot of fun, but I don't think you're going to get Hammerstone and Murdoch in the same ring, and they're definitely not, you're not going to have a clean finish if you can. Excuse me. Lamb says John Gresham will be in Memphis in February. That is who I was thinking of. And Gresham, my God, that guy is such a phenomenal wrestler. Been able to see him live at Championship Wrestling from Atlanta. I was able to see him live at the New Japan Strong event in Riverside. That guy is really, really good at wrestling. Forget the fact that he's only 5'4". That guy can wrestle you like an octopus, like the mask that he wears. Kikuchi says, "What about Holidead for the NWA?" Kikuchi, man, from your lips to Billy Corgan's ears, Holidead would be a welcomed addition to the NWA. And imagine, we talk about how powerful Camille is and how athletic Camille is. Holidead might be close. And a matchup between the two might be just exactly what we would need to see more of in the NWA. Certified Hustler says the CW30 is on TV in St. Louis now. Cool, man. I hope you enjoy watching it. Bobby Petito says he'd like to see more challengers step up against Camille for the Women's World Championship. Let's take a minute real quick just to talk about that Women's World Championship, because, as I'm looking in 2021, believe it or not, the title that was defended the most in 2021, well, I like I said, I did some numbers, and it was not the television title, which I kind of thought it would be because the Pope had so many defenses early on. It was actually the Women's Championship in Camille. And even before Camille, it was Serena Deeb defending that title on AEW programming. So between the two, they managed to have 13 title defenses, which was 3 more than the Pope and Tyrus's combined defenses for the television title. And then it's not even close after that. The next is a world title between Aldis and Murdoch with their 8 title defenses. And then the national title was defended a total of 6 times between Murdoch and Adonis's reigns as champion. And then the tag team titles and the women's tag team titles both were defended 5 times. And it's kind of telling how many times the Team Hex has defended those titles outside of the NWA, and how very little either Stevens and Kratos and La Rebellion have defended those titles. It's just not a whole lot. So that women's championship really does get defended quite a bit, more so outside of the NWA than within the NWA, but all the same, those matches are sanctioned by the National Wrestling Alliance. And, I mean, you look at whether it be AEW or Coastal Championship Wrestling or River City Wrestling out in Austin, San Antonio, Texas. Camille's getting around, and I think that's going to certainly help her and the legacy of the National Wrestling Alliance in that women's division. Bobby says he'd like to see Lindsay Snow get an opportunity to wrestle in the NWA. Yes, sir. Me too. Hustler says Camille versus Miranda Gordy is happening soon. Where's it happening? That would be a very interesting match to see, but where's it going to happen? Lamb says Holidead is very close with Thunder Rosa. Do you think Holidead to the NWA is realistic? I mean, look, I think at the end of the day, and I think Brian Cervantes said it too, is that, Mission Pro has no problem working with the NWA. In fact, he said that they would work with everybody except for WOW. So the fact of the matter is, if the NWA said, hey, we want to bring in some of your talent, I don't think they'd be objecting to that. Again, these are opportunities. Whether you professionally, right, you have to take the opportunities that are presented to you. I think if Thunder Rosa's relationship with the NWA was so bitter and so sour that, she would probably tell the rest of the Mission Pro girls to step away from the NWA. But you see, Genocide is still a part of it. Sky Blue was until recently. And I imagine you'll see more talent from Mission Pro connect with the NWA on some level. Certified Hustler says he wants to see Pollo Del Mar manage in the Crockett Cup. Sure, but is she going to manage her tag team, or is there a tag team you have in mind? Bobby says he'd like to see Lindsay Snow versus Camille. Same here, man. Chris says in 2022, can Billy spend money on a new TV title belt? Yeah, okay, sure. I mean, I don't have a problem with that guy. I think that's a pretty good looking belt if you ask me, but that's just my opinion. Dave Scooby said Holly Dead is with MLW and Mission Pro as well as doing some work with Ring of Honor this year. She would up the game in the NWA for sure. See, and that I don't know if she's directly under contract with MLW or if she's just working dates with MLW, because there is a big difference. Slice Boogie is officially signed with MLW, and since that happened, we haven't seen him return to the NWA. I don't know if there's any kind of prohibition against it, but we'll see. Willie Bowen says La Rebellion versus the Sons of the Von Erichs. I mean, hey, that would be Marshall and I can't remember the other son's name. I mean, I wouldn't be against it, but again, I just feel like MLW guys and NWA guys are probably not going to be mixing it up anytime soon. And I just feel the reason because is that, when the NWA works with AEW or the NWA works with Impact, there's a lot to gain from that because the established audience for Impact or AEW is greater than the audience that the NWA has. And so it boosts the NWA in that it gives them thank you, it's Ross. It gives them a greater appeal. It puts more eyeballs on the product. With MLW, MLW doesn't have that same shine that the AEW has. And furthermore, I feel like the NWA and MLW are more in direct competition than, say, the NWA and AEW or the NWA and United Wrestling Network, because the MLW and the NWA are kind of at that same spot. They're competing for eyeballs or competing for market. I don't know. I'm not running either promotion, and I don't have my ear up to anybody's door, but I imagine that you're not going to see those two promotions work together. And the more I was taking a look at some more statistics, because that's the kind of guy I am. I love the news and information, right? And in 2019, prior to NWA Power, there were roughly 8 title defenses before the first episode of Power. And then after Power, we had an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After Power, we had an additional 5 more title defenses. So, 4 more title defenses. So in 2019, there were a total of 13 title defenses, making the NWA world champion, basically defending the title once a month in a normal year. Then in 2020, last year, the NWA only had 5 world title defenses, and that was the 5 world title defenses. None of those were actually a part. Excuse me. Let me correct myself. One match was an NWA Power match, and that was against Flip Gordon. Another match was with Mike Bennett, and that was on Primetime Live. So a total of 5 title matches, and 3 of them were indirectly not connected to the NWA. And I bring that up because in 2021, Nick Aldis, who basically had taken a knee along with the NWA, who had very few title matches in 2020, came back and had 6 title matches, and only 2 of them were not directly connected to the NWA. That was one match in January against Jason Strife, when the title came back to Nebraska for the very first time, and then also against Trevor Murdoch at the convention show that they did back in July. So a total of 5 title defenses, 6 defenses for Aldis, and 2 more for Trevor Murdoch, making a grand total 8. So just statistics that I'm looking at, each year that the Power has been on the air, there's been less title defenses. We'll see how that pans out next year in 2022, now that we have 2 shows, plus hopefully there'll be more live events, meaning more pay-per-views, meaning more, hopefully more title defenses. We'll see how that goes. But just something I thought would be interesting to talk about. Dave Scooby says the MLW is making their own competition with Azteca Underground. Yeah, I don't quite understand that either, right? Because, like, I guess in some ways, United Wrestling Network does the same thing by having their Atlanta show, their Hollywood show, and now they're also their Memphis show. There's talk about bringing back the Arizona show. And then there's talk of a new show that's just going to be United Wrestling Network. So I don't know, but I mean, yeah, you're kind of making competition for yourself when there's a limited amount of eyeballs. There's a limited amount of hours in a day. A person cannot consume all of the wrestling content that is being created. They just can't. It's just not possible. There's too many hours in a day, or not enough hours in a day to consume as much wrestling content there is between, 5+ hours from the WWE each week, maybe closer to 6 hours, 3 hours with AEW, 2 hours with Impact, and then a whole host of other promotions. New Japan Strong, Ring of Honor, I think, is still producing content or still airing content. The NWA, MLW, United Wrestling Network. I mean, we're literally talking about 24 hours of wrestling every week, maybe more. How could you keep up? Terry says he just can't get into MLW. You're not alone. I've tried, and it's just not for me. But I haven't seen a whole lot of 5150. And, of course, Danny Limelight's my pal, my buddy, my friend. So I want to watch it just to hopefully encourage him. Bobby Matito says he'd like to see more of Christy Janes in the NWA. I agree. She's great. Certified Wrestling Podcast is Trevor Wrestling, Bully Ray, and Eddie Kingston soon. Man, I hope you're right. I think both of those would be killer matches. Hustler says Hard Times 2 had 0 title changes. A horrible pay-per-view. So that's a great question, Hustler. Let me ask you, man, does a pay-per-view have to have a title change to make it be a good pay-per-view? That's just an interesting point. Willie Bowen says the Briscoes, Reno Scum would be great in the tag team division. I agree, man. I think both of those teams would be a lot of fun. I don't know about the Briscoes. I think they're going to end up in AEW sooner than later, but Reno Scum are free as free can be, and I think they would be an awesome addition to the tag team division. Bobby Batista says Tootie Lynn has impressed him since NWA Power. I think Tootie Lynn is very special, right? I don't know what it is about her. I thought at first maybe it was just a St. Louis home crowd favorite thing, but she really seems to connect with the fans in Atlanta. When they did the By Any Means Necessary, it seemed like the fan base was behind her. So who knows? But I really feel like she has something about her that the fans really get behind. Chris says, as much as I give the NWA grief, I think 2022 will be a better year for them. I mean, look, we can discuss this. 2021 wasn't a bad year for them. And I mean, you got to think they basically took a knee till the end of March and still ended up putting on 5 pay-per-views, having multiple title matches, crowning new champions, having an interesting storyline, some of it good, some of it bad, but the fact of the matter is that they're still here, I think is a huge success. Bobby wants to see Santana Garrett and Mercedes Martinez get an opportunity to wrestle for the NWA. I think Santana Garrett is going to be part of WOW, the Women of Wrestling Superheroes show. So I don't know if that's going to happen. Chris says that anyone can come to the NWA, sticking around is the issue. 100%. And that's the thing. It's very much a merry-go-round. And that's the video I played with Billy earlier. It's like he even said, they're open to working with anybody. Their champions can go anywhere, but also the talent that comes in, it's a veritable merry-go-round. Like, talent comes, talent goes. If talent gets over, they're going to stay. If they can't get over, they won't be around for very long. Chris, I do know that AEW has 3 hours. I was talking about the 5 hours from or 6 hours from Raw, which gives us 9 hours. And actually, there's more than 3 hours of wrestling weekly because there's also Dark and Elevation. So it's even more. I think that's another hour, maybe 2 hours. So there's a lot of content. That's all I'm saying. A lot of content to keep up with. Let's see. Bobby Petito says, more veterans in the women's division. Who do you have in mind, Bobby? Who do you think would fill that role? Terry McDermott says he sticks to the NWA and tries to catch the matches of Pete Dunne and Thunder Rosa. That's it at the moment. I agree. Pete Dunne, I think, is a free agent. If he's not, he's about to be, I think. Mercedes Martinez and Santana Garrett and Taya Valkyrie and Angelina Love are a great fit for the NWA. I think two of those names are going to be too expensive to bring into the NWA, to be quite honest with you. I don't feel like Taya Valkyrie will be in the NWA just because she has more options everywhere else. Dave Scooby, I agree with you 100%. Midnight Heat would fit in the NWA with their Midnight Express gimmick, maybe at the Crockett Cup. I mean, I'll even take it a step further. I'd say the Midnight Heat are more akin to the Midnight Express more than FTR is. And I feel like that would be the tag team I feel is a better fit for the NWA, even more so than the FTR. Chris says that Pete Dunne has re-signed with the WWE, making me eat my own words. Well, there you go. So, with the NWA bringing in a second hour of television every week on YouTube, well, how do you guys feel about that? I mean, one of my biggest concerns was that there was too many titles, and so they needed more time to tell these stories. But now that they're putting an hour of free content on YouTube every week, are you going to be watching? Are you going to be watching the USA show, NWA USA? Are you going to try to keep up with both the paid subscription and the free channel? Or are you going to switch to just the free content? What are your plans with the NWA? I'm just curious as to hear it. Thank you for the heads up, Lamb. I appreciate that. Terry McDermott said Steve Regal's son, Charlie Dempsey, is a future wrestler to watch. Okay. I'm not familiar with him at all, Terry, but I'll keep my eyes out for him. Hustler says certified Hustler says Nick Aldis to Impact. And I mean, crazier things have happened. But we do know that his contract, right, is supposed to be up at the end of the year. As far as I know, it was a 1-year deal that they signed last year. So that would be pretty wild. But at the same time, like, you have to understand, he's a family man. He's got to take care of his kid. They just, they've got to take care of themselves more so than the NWA. You got to remember, the NWA is William Patrick Corgan's and nobody else's. It's not yours. It's not mine. It's not Nick Aldis's. It's not Mickey James. It's Billy Corgan's project. So at any moment, Billy Corgan could decide to do this, that, and the other thing, and we all just watch. If Billy Corgan decided tomorrow to shelve the entire thing, he could, and we couldn't do anything about it. So for somebody like Nick Aldis, who, again, he's still a young enough man, but at any point in his career, he's only got a limited time of how many more years of actual in-ring competition he has. If he goes to Impact for a big money deal, I mean, he could still work out a deal to work with the NWA, or he could just take that money and run and forget about the NWA. I mean, there's so many different things that can happen, right? So many things that can happen. That's a great point, Hustler. I don't think he's going to Impact. I think he's going to be loyal to the NWA, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him get some more dates working with different wrestling promotions. Chris says no one wants Aldis on Impact. I don't know, man. I don't know. Lamb says, I might start watching NWA next year, NWA USA next year. Depends on how much time I have to watch their stuff. It's on the bottom of my watch list. That's fair, man. I mean, look, they have to. Longtime fans like me, I'm going to give it a shot regardless. From everything that I hear, it might be the show that I would prefer, to be quite honest. It's going to be a focus on faster-paced wrestling. It's going to be more based on more time given to wrestling than promos and character development, I think that's the show that I would rather watch. And at what point, what am I going to do? Keep watching both of them? Maybe. Roswell says, I'll keep up with both shows, but Power Surge is not used correctly. Power Surge could be used more like what F1 does for the driver's aspect, the behind the scenes, build up the talent. I like that. I think that would be cool, but, they'll do what they have to. Hustler says he's going to keep watching both fight and watching the USA show. I think that's pretty good. Scooby says that he, too, is going to watch all the NWA programming. Maybe NWA USA will help fill out the roster for the NWA and highlight the titles as much as they can. I agree with that. I think that's a smart idea as well. Terry McDermott says he thinks that Nick Aldis might become a journalist after his career. That would be surprising to me. Hustler, I mean, if you think so, man, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with Mr. Aldis's contract. Anyone who knows, Nick and I aren't really on talking, so I doubt that he's going to tell me anything anytime soon. Chris says, this is a great question, Chris, and we might talk about this on Wednesday. Oh, programming note. Real quick, guys, Wednesday, tomorrow night will be the last episode of the Alliance Guys podcast for the 2022-2021 season. We'll wrap things up tomorrow night, not Thursday, but tomorrow night. So make sure that you plan accordingly to join us tomorrow night as we talk NWA POWERRR. And really, it's going to be more of like a year in review as DKM and I kind of recap the year that was. Chris says, what can the NWA do to lure Ring of Honor fans who aren't following the WWE or AEW? Well, I mean, they're off to a good start by offering positions with some of the more known talents from the NWA or from the Ring of Honor to join the NWA. I think the storyline has to be compelling, but they have to give a more real, legitimate look at the fights. I think if they were still using the 10 pounds of gold the way that they used to, I think that would really benefit them as well. They just need to make it feel more legitimate and less like a spectacle. The WWE, AEW, it's all a spectacle. The real side of wrestling, I think, would appeal to the Ring of Honor fans, especially the ones who are cheering on, guys like Jonathan Gresham and all that stuff. So we'll see. Kikuchi says he'll give the YouTube show a chance. There you go. And well, you know what, guys? I think that's about it. We started a little bit early today. We kind of run out of time here, but I do appreciate you all checking us out. This has been about episode 52 of 52. We tried to keep you guys on point with the NWA, regardless of whether there was content or not content from the NWA at this time every week for the last year. It's been an honor. It's been a privilege. It's been a lot of fun. If you've enjoyed this podcast, hey, we do have merchandise available if you'd like to rep the the Alliance logo, not the NWA logo, the Alliance logo. You can see it here on my hat. You can get one of these or t-shirts with a lot more t-shirt offerings coming within the next couple of weeks on the website. So make sure you check out the merch, and we'll post links on Instagram and on Facebook and all that good stuff. But that's it, man. You guys have been really cool. It's been a lot of fun developing this relationship in the last year. We don't have the largest audience in the world, but for the 15 people that are here every week live with us, and those 45 plus who watch afterwards, you're appreciated. We do appreciate you being here. We do like talking to you guys about the NWA, and we appreciate you guys being a part of all this. So thumbs up if you enjoy the show, and make sure you share it. And until next time, guys, we're going to see you at the matches. Have a good night now.
We thank you for tuning into the Alliance Blog Podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you won't miss any future episodes? We'd also like to remind you that we do a live stream every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific on YouTube at The Alliance Blog. And you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, TikTok, and Twitch. Until next time, we are The Alliance.